Hello and welcome to Front Row Racing once again. It's time for the FRR-idays Cup at Abu Dhabi. So we'll click ready and get them going through to the lobby, or through to qualifying I should say. I'm Front Row Racing DP, otherwise known as Dave Lazinbeds as my commentary name. And I'm joined as per usual on these Fridays with Front Row Racing RI, otherwise known as Ray Chell Brooks. How are you this evening, Ray?
I'm fine, I feel like I've had a holiday for you.
I bet you do. I bet you do. That's what the rest of this month is going to feel like for me, I reckon. Okay, so the first of our two sort of live broadcasts and commentaries for this evening, this being the FRR-idays Cup in Abu Dhabi. For anyone that doesn't know what our FRR-idays is, it's our feeder system into our F1 leagues, where drivers can come and take part, show us what they can do. If they do well enough, they can go onto our reserve driver list. Although, to be fair, as main seasons have now finished, this is the last event of the FRR-idays in 2015. We'll get going again on the 8th of January. So for these drivers, the last few races, it's been a chance for them to show what they can do for the possibility of permanent drives come next season. Now in our leagues we have the World Championship, which is a no assist league, and the World Series, which is an assists allowed league. So these drivers are trying to work their way into those particular leagues. So Ray, what are you looking for from the drivers from this evening, with it being the last event of the year?
Nice clean racing, and knowing, well, the ones that have been here for a while, I've got to grips with the rules of the ETLs and when collisions happens and that, but other than that, great racing, that's all I like to see.
Yep, I agree with you on that one. You may need to turn your microphone up a little bit, Ray, either that or put it a little bit closer to your mush. I mean, obviously, better? It is a little bit. Now, in the FRR-idays events, we don't impose any additional rules, any additional stewarding or anything like that, for two simple reasons. One, it's very time consuming and we leave that for our main leagues. And two, this is where the drivers just come and drive however they drive. They'll find out from watching the videos back and listening to our commentary as to whether anything that they are doing, whether it's right or wrong. And through that process they'll pick up things about what to do if they do an ETL being exceeding track limits. So it's kind of like a proving ground, not quite a training lobby, that's wrong, because most of these guys can drive anyway, but it's more a refining, so that if they do get into the main leagues, they're not then surprised by the things that we do in there. And over the course of this season, the FRR-idays has worked an absolute treat in giving us reserve drivers for the main leagues when drivers aren't able to make races, but also as a simple way of drivers being able to come and take part and see what they can do. I mean, we've had quite a number of drivers go through, do reserve drives and take permanent places as well. Okay, on to the action we've got on track then. I'm following English Boy at the moment. He's ran a bit wide at the final corner. He's about to start his first flying lap. Now, English Boy has apologised to Ant, or as Ray calls him, Annette, 69, for last week, where he caused a bit of a collision. He was saying that on his view, he couldn't see that crash. He didn't see that the contact had happened, but when he watched the video, he saw it and was like, oh, yeah, sent him a message and apologised. So fair play to English Boy on that one. So through Sector 1 with an 18.8 Sector 1 time, which not too bad for the first sectors of the session, but we have got a couple of drivers in here that will be fairly quick through the first sector. Okay, very, very new guy I'm going to go and ride on board with at the moment. It's Hammer Time 44, currently riding on the prime tyres. We'll see how he gets on. Now, I mean, quite often when we get new people show interest in the leagues, now and again, someone may say to me, oh, Dave, you might want to watch out about this person or that person. And I tend to go on the process of, well, everyone deserves a chance. If they're dodgy, they're not going to get far. It's as simple as that. If they're all right, they do things right, then I don't see the problem. But obviously one thing that people do have to bear in mind, especially in front row racing, that your attitude off the track can also affect whether you get to race or not. If your attitude is awful off the racetrack, you're not going to be in the sessions for very long, isn't that right, Ray? Yep, right. That is true. Okay, so his sector 1 times an 18.0 on the primes, a 42.0 for sector 2, which isn't too bad. We'll see how he gets on through the final sector. Now, it could be that I've had a bit of a note about this guy because he's quick. We'll soon find out. But at the end of the day, if a guy's quick and he's clean, well, there's no problem with them taking part as far as I'm concerned. Oh, nearly lost it into the wall there. Let's say 140.9 for his first flying lap. Acorn 95. We're not going to view him too much at the moment because he has taken part as a reserve, as English boy's gone very wide at the hairpin. I think he's got that a little bit wrong. Ant 69 out on track on the options early. He knows he doesn't need to save them, but he is on an... Oh no, he's not on an out lap. He's about to finish the first sector, an 18.5. Had his first reserve drive yesterday and was doing quite well up until a power cut in his area ended his race. You would be a little bit gutted about that one, wouldn't you?
Yeah. You'd be chasing Scottish Power down there. Although I don't know where he comes from, so it might not be Scottish Power.
Well, saying that, I'm on Scottish Electric and I live in the middle of England. And I tell you what, it can't be cheaper from Scotland because the amount of electricity I've been using is ridiculous. Okay, so anyone you're keeping an eye on there, Ray?
I'm just watching Mr. Hamilton 44. He's been quite okay. Well, I say that and now he's cutting. The commentators cursing. Watched him. He was doing okay. Couple of corners he's had a wee bit of a cut. I haven't. It's hard to tell if there's been a lift or not. So.
Well, I mean, regarding the lifts, I mean, we don't say that these guys have to do ETL lifts. They're not going to get penalised if they don't. But we do say it is advisable for the FRR-idays drivers to get into that process of, if you cut a corner, do the ETL lifts. And it's advisable for them as well to watch the front row racing stewards guides, because what they've been applying to quite a few circuits is ETL lift zones. So if there's a few corners that are quite close together, you may have to go like 2, 3, 4 corners and then do an ETL lift, rather than do lifts between corners where the way it's seen is, well, you may have to lift for that corner anyway, so we can't tell if you've lifted for the cut or not. So the front row racing stewards guides are very, very helpful, and I do know that I've been talking to the stewards that quite a few of the early stewards guides, Australia, Malaysia, China, Bahrain, we're going to be going through those again to get the early ones up to the standard of the later ones in the season. So feel free to have a look on the YouTube channel at Australia, Malaysia, China, but they will be being updated. That's one of the things that we'll be looking at doing over the Christmas period. So although we say it's a time for the admins to have some time off, it's not like we're going to sit around doing absolutely nothing. We're still going to be busy. It's just the league's having an off season. So I've just been watching John Rhino struggled a little bit through the first sector, but I do know as well that John messaged the page a couple of days ago asking whether some of the drivers could help out some of the FRR-idays drivers. Now I know that we responded to him saying, well, we did used to do like training programs, off-season training programs, but it did get quite time consuming, and it also meant that, I mean, it is a time consuming process. One of the better things that a few of these drivers can do is get friendly with some of our league drivers. Cans of beer usually work, and or kinkiness, yeah, and see what you can learn. I mean, the thing is, I used to give away a lot of secrets, give away a lot of my setups, help a lot of people. This season just gone, I actually said, right, I'm not going to do any track guides or anything like that. I'm going to focus more on my own driving for my own season. I can't give away all of my secrets, but there are some basics that people will be able to pick up on from being in lobbies with other drivers. I mean, I know some people have questioned why me and Kev have been kind of secretive this season, and in a way it's because we are so in depth with what we do with our strategies, our setups, that we don't want everyone knowing it. So we have to be careful of who we let know this information, because if they know the information, we have to know it goes no further. So if we find something really amazing with a setup, there's no point all of our competitors knowing it as well, otherwise it's not amazing anymore. Okay, so on board with F1 Roadrunner at the moment, done a sector 1 of a 17.8. Let's see how he gets on down the first DRS straight. Now here's a question for you, Ray. This is a circuit where it's quite tricky for people to decide what kind of aerodynamics to go for around here. What would your temptation be, your natural temptation of aeros around here? Would it be low aeros, or would it be put a bit more aeros on?
It would be that. What I would think, what I would do myself would be a free tour.
See, now that's quite interesting, because I know a lot of people would be tempted to run lower than that, either a lower rear wing or a lower front wing or lower both wings. But this is a circuit, it's one of those kind of confusing circuits where, yes, there's two really long, well, there's one really long straight and one almost really long straight where you want good top speed. But 99% of the rest of the circuit is all about corners, and you don't go around corners fast if you've got really low aeros on. So that's where drivers have to work out. If they add more aeros, they may lose a bit down the straights, but they may gain even more in the corners. And not only might they gain even more in the corners, what they may find is that their tyre life is better. Or perhaps when their tyres wear, they've got more grip because they've got more aeros. I mean, one thing that I pointed out to Kev, for example, was if you're running 1-1 aeros and you're following a car, you're effectively running non-aeros because of the dirty air. But if you're running 5-5 aeros following a car, then effectively you're running 3-3 aeros or 2-2 aeros. You've still got some aeros left to work with whatever air is available. So 1-1 aeros may give a very good single lap time, but in a race it might not work. It might not cope well with the tyres, it might not cope well with the extra fuel, it might not cope well with the tyres being worn, it might not cope well with dirty air. So these are all things that drivers have to kind of factor in and think about. Okay, after the session, I've not really been talking much about what the drivers have been doing here, just been sort of watching and spotting who's on the track, who's not on the track. It's hammer time's now gone to the option tyre. Now for the FRR-idays events, it's only a 25% race, so the drivers don't have to think about saving lots of tyres for the race itself. Effectively it'll be a one-stop race with options and primes. Or, I mean, there would be nothing to stop any of the drivers going option and prime for one lap at the end. I mean, I've done it in some of our practice sessions. I use our practice sessions all about learning something, and that's probably the biggest tip I could give to any driver. Every lap you do on the track, learn something. So if you have a race and you get crashed out, spun round in the first corner, the rest of that race, learn something, try something different, try a different racing line, different braking points, different pit strategy, learn something. Okay, I've spotted we've had quite a few messages coming through already, Ray. I don't know whether you're able to keep an eye on them or not.
Keeping an eye on them. It's for Miko.
Good evening.
She says, evening? Yep, that's what she says. Hi, Pronuk. He says he's always up for helping the drivers. Someday I don't know. I'll just say to this guy that this cup is just for people to learn our rules and learn how to drive. Yeah, they might
Come on, Ray. Learn the simple way of putting it. It's our F1 feeder system into our leagues.
Yeah.
There you go.
They might not be up to standards, but they'll get there.
I mean, this is the thing. These sessions are not about who's the fastest. It's not about who's the best. It's about who's keeping it on the road, who's got good driving standards, who's able to make overtakes without hitting people, who's not going off the track all the time. So all those kind of things. Racing etiquette. You smash someone off, what do you do? And these are the things that we get to spot without imposing any rules on these drivers. As this season has gone on, through the commentary, they've picked up what our rules are from our league because we mention it. For example, if Hammertime cuts this next right-hander, we would say, oh, he's cut that corner, he would have to do an ETO lift. The driver watches this back and goes, what's an ETO lift? Watches the steward's guide, bang, finds out what he'd have to do to avoid a penalty. So it is our feeder system. Hammertime's gone a little bit wide there, but he's abandoned the lap. Anyway, Dean Tiley I'm on board with now. I mean, for anyone that is watching the broadcast, feel free to send in messages, ask questions. We'll answer what we can, although some stuff we might not answer. But yeah, I mean, over the course of the season in the FRR-idays events, we will see, and we have seen, a lot of cars off the track. We expect that. But what we look for is, for example, English Boy. Now there's an example. Over the last few races he's had a few moments, shall we say, a few off-track moments. So with someone like himself, we look at, okay, in the race, is he off-track less than the previous event? Is the amount he's off-track reducing? So we kind of do that for each of the drivers without actually keeping a record of it, because we can spot it, we can see it. Someone like Dean Tiley, probably listening to the broadcast now, knows we're on board with him, but he's a guy that we have seen off track quite a bit. But if we can see that he's actively goes to turn into a corner, spots he's going to cut it, turns away from the corner, runs wide, we can go, that guy's trying, he's picked up on it, he's trying. But then if we see someone just going cut, it's like, okay, yeah, they need some work, and we'll have keep an eye on them in the next events. And he's going for the pits.
And then sometimes just say that I'm not going to invite you back in, you're not improving, they'll give somebody else a chance.
I mean, that's the thing, if someone comes in and is terrible all the time, with no improvements, there could come a point where we would say, look, no offence, but you're not making any improvements, you're not making any gains, you're not taking on board what we've been saying, so it might be worth taking a step back, going and doing some practice, keeping the car on the road, and then come back and show us the new you. I mean, I've said it so many times, it's probably imprinted on my forehead, that if you find yourself off the track a lot, slow down, brake earlier, go through the corners slower. At least if you're on the track and slow, that's your lap time, that's what pace you are, that's your genuine pace. That can be improved on. You keep it on the tarmac, your lap times can improve. You'll keep going off the track all the time, you're not really going to improve unless you keep it on the tarmac. You keep it on the tarmac, you can then learn what is too late to brake, what is too late to turn in, and things like that. But anyway, okay, we've got about 30 seconds until me and Ray get kicked away from the pit lane. So let's have a look at what we got on the standings. Temp Fear, we've not seen him do the lap. He's on a 38.8 with Hammer Time right behind him. Hamilton 44 just behind him. F1 Roadrunner behind him. Not anymore. Acorn's just jumped up. And then we've got a few drivers further down. So it'll be interesting to see how these guys do get on through the race. Now this can be a very tricky first lap to negotiate around this particular circuit. But we'll see how the guys get on. I mean, we've mentioned it on a few previous videos. There is a couple of very basic rules in front row racing. For example, pit lanes must be entered and exited correctly. Turn 1 collisions are dealt with more harshly than any other collisions because you don't want to be ruining someone's race at the start of the race. So treat turn 1 with care, and also give room. you must always give your competitors room. Some people may disagree with that regarding whatever real F1 does, but we're gamers. We all want to play the game. We all want to take part. So it's a simple rule. Give your competitors room. Okay, so we haven't got long then until these cars complete their laps. We're not going to be able to see any more sector times, but we'll have keep an eye on Millstar here. See, now he's a driver that over the last few weeks has been improving, which is why I haven't really kept an eye on him in qualifying so far. I tried to focus a bit more on the newer guys. We'll see how he gets on in the race, because he is one that has been taking on board what we've been saying and has been working on trying to keep the car on the road. Most cars going for the pits, but he's let's see if he gains any places. 7th it'll be. And then we're back to John Rhinos, who's still running around on the prime tyre, so he's probably going to be starting on those. Oh, we ran a little bit wide there. I know some people may think that running wide on the exit of a corner is not really an exceeding track limits. Oh, interesting parking for Hesselden here. He's got a Ferrari blocking him, that's why. Yeah, going wide on a corner is still an exceeding track limits, because there's a good chance you're out there because you're taking the entry into the corner too fast. So, I mean, one of the ways I tend to look at it when I'm racing is, it doesn't matter what the reason is that I'm off the track, I'll do an ETO lift, because then if the stewards want to have a look at it, I'm covered because I've done an ETO lift. There's no arguing, there's no questioning, and that's why the rule is the way that it is. You go off track, you do an ETO lift. There's no arguing that, oh, I haven't gained. I have gained on one worn tyres, I'm on intermediates and it's wet. No, there's no arguing there. Are you off track? Yes. Have you done an ETO lift? No. Penalty. Are you off track? Yes. Have you been hit off the track? Yes. Okay, no penalty. But hey, you know what? You've done an ETO lift. Well done. Things like that. Or even, for example, you think you've cut a corner, you do an ETO lift, the stewards turn around and go, well, actually, you're on the limit, you're all right there, but you've done an ETO lift. Well done, 2 thumbs up. So, doing an ETO lift, it's a minimal thing that the league asks drivers to do. So, yeah. I think that's something that will stick around. But then, having said that, I mean, with the new patch that F1 have brought out with their strict corner track limits, it's not quite strict enough, and that's been a big discussion on Codemasters. And for anyone that's interested in voting for me as a Codemasters tester, feel free to do so. I have applied. Feel free to put my name forward. I have heard that for F1 2016 they are going to be looking at bringing the track limits into the white lines, which is the rule that we go by in front row racing. The first white line at the edge of the circuit is the edge of the track. Curbs are not part of the racetrack, they're next to the racetrack. So yeah, hopefully that's something that they'll get sorted out for F1 2016. Now, it probably wouldn't be too bad if they had not named it strict. They should name what they've just done as easy, and then put in the next level and call that normal, I reckon. But strict, you dip one tyre off the track, your car blows up. Okay, well, we're about to get ready for this, get going for this race then. So myself and Ray will hold on a moment in our Marussias, and 5 lights, and away they go. We'll give them half a moment to get through the first couple of corners, which could get very, very busy as Dean Tiley takes a look at the inside and cuts the inside. Acorn, Ant and another car have just had a collision. Roadrunner's gone to come back to circuit. Oh, we've got a big crash. I didn't see who it was, but there was a Mercedes, I think. Yeah, it was a Mercedes and a Ferrari got tangled, and we've got a Force India without a front wing. Yeah, F1 Roadrunner was the Ferrari that got involved there as well, I think. And with that happening, Temp Fear's been able to pull out at the front. Hammer Time is in second place with Dean Tiley right behind him. 2 Williams following along there. But this is where, for example, I was mentioning qualifying, turn 1, you've got to take it with care and caution. Oh, we've got a few moves being attempted a little further back. It's getting busy. Oh, it looks like English Boy may have just backed out to something, but that's a big contact now with John Rhinos. So a very, very... go on.
He cut the corner, overtaking Will Butler. and tried to give him the space back, but John Reynolds was there as well, so I think he was trying to
and John Reynolds just turned in on a corner and spun Acorn 95, I think it is. So there's a lot of action going on. I say action to try and be kind. This is where the drivers, I think John spotted it and he's backed off to let that guy catch back up, but I think he may have already gone past him. He has, so John's on the move again. Now, at least on that situation, John Rhinos has turned in, spun a guy and gone, oh, you know what? I've spun him. I'm going to back off and let him come back past me. If that was in a league race, he's not going to get a penalty for that now because he has backed off. He's self-penalised himself, given the guy the position. The stewards won't get involved in that one there. So that is a rule that perhaps not a lot of the drivers are aware of, but it's one of those driver respect ones. You spin someone, let them back through. Yes, it's going to cost you, but if you don't do it, you're going to get a penalty anyway. Oh, we've got Red Bull on Ferrari. Oh dear, Acorn perhaps in a little bit of frustration. He's now let John Rhinos through. So, you know, that's a situation where Acorn's gone for a bit of a dive bomb move, got it wrong, spun, so the other guy's not really going to have to wait for them. But I was trying to say that it was a prime example of, on the first lap, the first corners, you've got to make sure you're giving people room. You're not going balls out into the corner, someone shaving for me because I think they'll look prettier. You've got to be careful, you've got to be cautious, because otherwise you're just going to ruin other people's races and your own. So it is one of the biggest bugbears of the drivers where, for example, if you've been practicing all week for a race and then at turn one, bang, you're facing the wrong direction, you got a wing missing or whatever, it's going to frustrate you. I tell you what, Ray, can you keep an eye on the first and second place for a few moments for us? You just watch them for a little while, as I'm going to watch third, fourth and fifth.
Okay.
Mr. Hamilton 44, he has taken part in a couple of events, but he's ran a little bit wide there, as has his Williams teammate just behind him. This is one of those situations where I was mentioning earlier, running wide on the exit of the corners, you need to be getting that in check. You could be out there because your tyres are worn. If your tyres are worn, it means you've got to slow down to keep it on the track. We've got Williams and Toro Rosso, I think it is. Dean Tiley and Millstar having a bit of a battle as they head down towards turn 4 and 5, but Millstar did manage to get ahead of Dean. So we'll see how Millstar's getting on then, as he's gained a place. Hesselden has left the session. That could be a driver who was involved in a collision early on. I know he was knocked off the racetrack last week, and this is what I'm on about. You got involved in collisions in the first couple of laps where drivers have done something a little bit wrong, and it is frustrating. It can make people think, you know, where's the point? And that's why in front row racing there are big penalties for causing first corner collisions. I know this season the penalty has been, if the game doesn't give you a penalty, it's a 20-second penalty, the equivalent of a drive-through, and a qualifying ban for the next event. Because if you're causing collisions at the first corner, you have to be penalised for it. So one of the it's a two-part penalty, and one of those is a qualifying ban. That means you're going to start at the back of the grid. If you then go and do it again and cause another first corner collision, you're going to get penalties again. And at some point you'll realise, okay, I've got to be a little bit more cautious. I mean, okay, we all like overtaking and things like that, but it's just one of those things. No one wants their race ruined in the first corner.
Nope, not at all.
Nope. Although, if you're racing against Dave on Sunday, take him out on the first corner. I tell you what, we've got carbon fibre down the start-finish straight, and it looks like a Ferrari front wing.
I'm just thinking.
Can't hear you very well, Ray. You're very quiet.
I had to clear my throat there. String of D said John Reynolds took me out at turn 1. I was trying to figure out what car John Reynolds in the Ferrari.
No, John Reynolds is in Mercedes, yeah. So perhaps John's had a bit of a bad start to the race. I believe he did start on the prime tyres, so he may have found it a little bit difficult on those primes at the start. And riding on board Will Butler at the moment is Dean Tiley trying to attack Millstar. It's ended up in a bit of contact, and that's effectively going to give Will Butler the position. I was going to say that Dean Tiley on a couple of the corners looked like he'd been off track a little bit. Now this is where the guys need to settle themselves down, because this could get busy as we've got two DRS activated cars on a Lotus that has no DRS. Oh, that's going to be a spin. That is. They're both going round. Do a donut for the fans and carry on again. And there's a few corners around here that can end up creating situations like that, but this is a situation where the drivers just need to be giving that little bit of room to each other. What earns more respect is someone moving away from a car and going, you know what, have that bit of room, rather than going for an overtake and ended up in a spin. But anyway, their crash has allowed Acorn to now catch them up. And is Dean Tiley going for the pits? He is. So the 10 laps on the primes, the 9 laps on the primes is what he'll be looking at. So what have you been viewing for us, Ray?
The people you told me to keep an eye on. Tech Fearing, that's Hammer Time 44. He's catching slowly but surely, so what's he, 1.125, so a couple of laps and I'm sure it's Hammer Time 44 will be on him. He's been great with these track limits,
which is good to hear. And I've just seen that Dean Tiley has retired from the session. John Rhinos has had another contact with another car. That's him facing the wrong direction again, as Ant69 tries catching the car ahead, which is now Will Butler, who was recently pitted. And behind John is Stringy B. So it was Stringy B that lost front wing in the Force India early on. We did spot that Force India without the front wing, so he's done an early pit stop and is now right behind John Rhinos, the driver he thinks may have spun him. And I think John he's struggling on those prime tyres now. They're really not giving him any grip, and also if he's had a few spins they're going to be absolutely knackered. If he also as well, he did do qualifying on the prime, so if he's done 4, 5, 6 laps on those tyres in qualifying, then yeah, they're going to be hurting. Get in the pits, John. Stick a set of those options on. If you have to stop for another set, so be it. Oh, Stringy taking a little bit too much curb there, but I did say we're going to see that from a few of the drivers here. And it's not always easy if you do get spun or you see cars ahead going off. The temptation is to do as they do. It's better to not do as they do, because it's viewable on our views. Drivers that are keeping it on the road and those who are not, as he takes more curb again. I'm surprised John hasn't gone for the pit lane, but he's continuing on. Okay, who have we got behind these guys? English boy. Now, I can't remember exactly what happened to him early on. He was involved in a collision, I believe, so he's now on the prime tyres, all on his own at the moment, 53 seconds behind the lead, with F1 Roadrunner on track behind him somewhere. So let's see how English boy gets on. I've got a feeling it'll be wide on turn 1 a little bit, but not bad. See how he gets on through 2, 3 and 4. Not a lot of grip through here if your aeros are too low. And now down into turns 5 and 6. And you want to use turn 5 as the braking zone for 6. Oh, he's ran a little bit wide there. Easily done. Into the hairpin. A horrible little corner. And then onto the long DRS straight. You may be able to see the cars ahead, and we can just about see F1 Roadrunner behind him. Can you see the cars ahead? No, not quite.
Look, we've got it's Hammer Time into the pit. Is he going for the undercut?
I would guess he is, because Tempt Fear has continued on. So it's Hammer Time. He's going to bolt on a set of prime tyres, I would guess. It should be. It is. Now, whether he'll get an undercut or not on these prime tyres, we'll have to wait and see, because obviously the primes are nowhere near as fast as the options, and the option tyres are still capable of doing 142s, 141s in their latter stages of their tyre life. But out the pits, it's Hammer Time will come in third place, with Mr. Hamilton 44 ahead of him in second. I'm not sure whether he has pitted yet or not. I think he hasn't, because he's only 6 seconds behind the leader, Temp Fear. Will Butler in 4th place. I said last week that he's been improving over the last few races, so we'll follow him for a lap and see if he is continuing on that trend. I can just about see the car behind him, which is Stringy B. I'm not sure whether he has pitted yet or not. With these short races, it can be very difficult to know who has pitted and who hasn't, especially if you have a few collisions in the very early stages of the race. But for someone like Will Butler, I mean, we have seen him in previous races really struggling with some of the corners. And this is where, for someone like myself or Ray, and even the viewers, if you've watched the last 4 or 5 of these FRR-idays, you yourselves will be able to see whether drivers are making improvements or not. Now, so far through this lap, Will Butler's had a nice clean lap from what we can see. Oh, then he goes and cuts corner. Yay, well done, Will. There had to be one of them.
The leader's in the pit.
Okay, the leader's into the pit then. I will cut to those in a moment. But let's say, for example, if Will Butler can complete this whole lap with only having cut one corner, that is improvement from what we have seen at previous events. As Stringy B has ran very wide on the entry into turn 17. So Will Butler, for me, has been showing...
Going to be close. Ooh. Temp Fear, and then It's Hammer Time is right. The close battle
behind him. Have you been on the whiskey already, Ray? It's not even 9 o'clock. No, okay.
Not at all.
Now, It's Hammer Time had a chance then of getting the undercut, but he wasn't able to make it work. But like I was saying, I mean, someone like Will Butler, we've just watched him for a majority of a lap, and there was one corner where he possibly took a little bit too much curb. That's improvement, and they're the kind of things that I know I personally look at. So for someone like Will Butler, he has been taking on board what has been said. Either that or he's just naturally improving, and that's good to see. That's what we like to see. I mean, it's very easy for a driver to come on, cut every corner, finish 40 seconds ahead of everybody else, but there's no talent in that. And I don't know that many people that could sit there and go, yay, I won, I'm really fast, I'm the best, having cut loads of corners. I'd be embarrassed. I mean, the Brazil time trial lap I was on about earlier, I mean, the video is shocking. I actually put a comment on the guy's video and he deleted the comment because it went along the lines of this: you should be embarrassed about posting this as a fastest lap time topping the leaderboard's lap. Right? You should be so embarrassed, you should delete this video off YouTube and give your controller to your mum so she can show you how to do it properly. And they deleted the comment. I don't know why he deleted the comment, but he did.
More that deleted it.
It probably was, yeah. Deleted the comment, but not the video. But yeah, I mean, I would be embarrassed. I mean, I know myself and Kev, we've done a few hot lap videos. And we don't do many because we don't want to give away all of our secrets. But, I mean, if we do one and we've got a tyre a millimetre over the line, we know we have some of our drivers going, that's an ETL. And it's like, well, yeah, okay, well, whatever. But we wouldn't post a video on YouTube with one big cut in it going, look how fast I am. We wouldn't do that. We'd be embarrassed to do that. And we know we'd get a load of grief. So how some of these people... I mean, as an example, turn 4 at Brazil, right? You're going down the DRS straight, he goes off the track to the right hand side by about 20 feet, hit the wall, then turns into the corner. So he's actually about 30 feet off the track to the right hand side before he turns in. And that's on one of the corners. He does it on about 4 or 5 of them. It was disgraceful. So I'm not on about little cuts here. It was literally the car was on another tectonic plate. So anyway, a bit of science for you there.
Sand and gravel back in.
They do. I mean, sand and gravel around the racetracks, that'd stop people going off instantly. Now, these two have been having a good battle out the front, but let's go and have a little view down. In 3rd place, we've got Mr. Hamilton, 44. So let's see how he's getting on there, because we've just waffled and watched the leaders for a couple of laps. So Mr Hamilton 44, not taken part in that many events recently, but currently running in 3rd place. He's made his pit stop now. He may have even made 2 around here. I mean, the option tyres, they will last 7-8 laps, but 6 is their best. So we'll see how he gets on into the hairpin. So, Ray, as we come down to the last 4 laps of the FRR-idays Cup, and I have a major dose of deja vu. Any thoughts for what we've seen over the course of the season of the FRR-idays Cup?
Any thoughts? It's been quite good. I know Adam done the first kind of half of it, and I've kind of helped out in the second half, but it's been quite good. People have improved and they've got their seats in that, and I think it's been quite successful.
Yeah, as a concept, I mean, I'm just watching Mr Hamilton 44 now. A few too many, and big cut there, I'm afraid. A few too many off-track moments for him. So, you see, this might be a case of a driver that has seen the new strict rules patch come in and is of the theory that if you've got tyres on curb, you're okay. But obviously in front row racing, that's not the case. The white line, the first white line, dictates the edge of the track, so you've got to keep 2 tyres within that. So for Mr Hamilton, he could watch this back and then go, oh right, okay, I can improve that for next season. But yeah, I mean, we watched Will Butler for a lap and a bit as Mr Hamilton has now posted the fastest lap. See, this is where for league drivers it'd be really frustrating, because they'd be like, oh, hang on a minute, he's just done the fastest lap and he's been off track. That's why we have exceeding track limits, and that's why we have ETL lifts for people to do, because on that lap he would have had to, oh, you see now that one there, that's a big cut. It doesn't matter if you're off throttle or not, it's a cut. So in a league race, he'd now have to do an ETL lift in this ETL lift zone here, because clearly he's gaining on the cars ahead. But when Temp Fear, it's Hamilton 44, watch this video back, they'll have seen he's posted the fastest lap and he's catching quickly. If this was a league race, they'd want to know that he's done it fairly. And that's what they're able to do here. For Mr Hamilton, he'll know that what he's done on that lap would end up with quite a few penalties if it was a league event. So for the future events, he needs to work on keeping it on the track a little bit more. See how he gets on through turns 11, 12 and 13. Not too bad through there, to be honest. He's a little bit better on the entry to that corner, gone a little bit wide, but that's where he cut that corner last time. This time he hasn't, he's gone wide. If he goes, oh, he's cut that one. But yeah, I mean, we spot it as, okay, he's cut a corner. On the next lap, he's not cut the corner, but he's gone wide. If on the next lap, he doesn't cut the corner and he doesn't go wide, there's your level of improvements. Oh, that's a big cut. Give him some carrots, he'll dice them up nicely. But
it's different from the old system where we done a test with the AI on the computer, and I wasn't great at doing that test, but I had to try and improve to make sure I kept my seat.
Yeah, I mean, what we've done with the FRR-idays this season, it has been very, very successful. It has allowed us to have a reserve driver system that works very, very well. It has worked very, very well. Which has allowed us to have fuller lobbies throughout the season. We have had our best attendance in lobbies towards the end of a season than in any previous season, and that is all down to what we've been doing with the FRR-idays Cup and the reserve driver system. I mean, this is the thing, the FRR-idays Cup, the guys that prove themselves and show what they can do, they get the opportunity to go on the reserve driver list. So the likes of Temp Fear, who came in on his first race, few too many off-track moments in Singapore, the next race took it on board, didn't cut a corner. Because of that, he got a reserve drive, and he's had quite a few reserve drives now, and actually is potentially in line for a permanent seat in the World Championship next season. So the opportunities are there, and this has been working very, very successfully. Okay, only a couple. Go on.
It's hammer time. He's seen that Mr. Hamilton 44's cutting a couple of corners, and he's getting into that that way your mind goes, well, he's doing it, I'm going to follow him.
Yeah.
Type thing, or it's a natural instinct to do it.
It is a natural instinct
when you're racing the car ahead of you, you try and copy as much as you can and add in your own wee bits.
But this is the thing where if this was a league race, I mean Hamilton 44, it may finish on the track ahead of its Hammer time. This is so confusing with their names, but he may finish ahead of him on the track. But in a league race, he'd end up getting penalties, so he's going to finish behind them. So this is where, for a driver like its Hammer time, it would be crucial for them in a league race to go, well, I'm not going to do what they're doing, because if I don't do that, I won't get any penalties. So that's where sticking to the guns and doing it right really, really pays dividends. See, now, someone like Temp Fear, who I've just bigged up, we're probably going to see him go cut loads of corners now, but I know that he has been working very, very hard at keeping the car on the track, working within the rules of FRR when he's been doing his reserve drives. So for him, if he gets overtaken by Mr. Hamilton 44 on the last lap and he sees him cutting corners, it's going to frustrate him. But anyway, do you want to have a quick look down the grid, Ray, and see how a few of the other guys are getting on for the final lap while we keep an eye on this little battle here?
Yeah, I've got joint 94 Rhinos and English Boy about a second apart, so I'll keep an eye on Meta and see how we get on.
Okie doke. Now for Mr. Hamilton 44, he's in a situation now where he can overtake the Mercedes, but all he's got to do is wait. He's on the faster tyre, so he doesn't need to go for a brave move. Just get a clean exit here, get the DRS, get a clean exit on the hairpin. He'll be ahead and pull away quite easily. Which is going to frustrate Temp Fear, because Temp Fear was quick enough in the World Series race yesterday when he was a reserve driver that really he should have won that race, but a collision at the first corner took that away from him. So here goes Mr. 44 then, early on the brakes, but I think that was perhaps too much curb again. Temp Fear giving him plenty of room, will now have DRS to attack back. And is he going to be able to do it? He's on the slower tyre, but if he can get ahead, he may have half a chance of keeping the position, and this is where a bit of track respect's going to need to come into it as they go side by side. Nicely done by Temp Fear there. He gave the room on the inside, but the tight line, and I was about to say, gave Hamilton 44 the tight line through the triple, which put him in a situation of losing the rear end. Hamilton 44 then goes for a little bit of a dodgy move, a little bit of a brave move, ends up spinning the car with a little bit of a collision. So that's going to allow Temp Fear to carry on, take victory here. It's Hammer time 44. There's Hamilton 44. Oh, that's a dive bomb move, that is. But the thing is, he's gone from wide off the track to making that move. I have to admit, not the best of moves there, to be honest. And that's why running wide on a corner is still an ETL. Because having ran wide, he's been able to carry the speed and go for a bit of a dive bomb into the final corner. Thankfully, the other car saw what was happening and gave them room. He wouldn't have had to have done in that situation, because that was a proper dive bomb overtake, as Acorn runs a little bit wide but finishes fourth. Let's see who else we've got on track, if it's going to let me find...
I was watching English Boy and John Reynolds.
Will Butler and I think might have been, I can't remember who it was, but it was a Force India. That'd be Stringy B crossing the line next to each other. Millstar about to come around the final corner. Go on, Ray, you was watching who, sorry?
English Boy and John Reynolds. They were a bit too much corner cutting for my liking. And then English Boy wants to go do a move and it ghosts the car ahead, but he loses out. I don't know, I can't remember how, why, but John Reynolds gets back ahead, and then English Boy goes for the same kind of move on a different corner, but it doesn't ghost the car, and he hits him and spins himself.
Oh dear.
So even though if you overtake while the car is ghost, you will receive a penalty for that.
I mean, that's the thing, it's an illegal overtake. If you go like breaking into a corner really late, it ghosts your car, you then drive through the car and go past, that's an illegal overtake. Because if you hadn't been ghosted, you'd have been spinning the other car, or at least crashing. But anyway, interesting session there to end the FRR-idays Cup for this year. A few penalties been given out. There was a very action-packed first few laps of the race. Few drivers in there definitely need to get a bit of practice of keeping the car on the tarmac for when the FRR-idays Cup gets restarted in January. But nice to see Temp Fiat up there taking the victory. A victory he probably should have got yesterday. It's Hammer Time 44. From what I saw of him, he was doing very, very well around there. Very interesting race, and did very well on that final corner to avoid being taken out, shall we say. Mr. Hamilton 44 off track a few too many times, and a bit of a dodgy attempted overtake on that final lap. I think that's probably just frustration from not being able to get past Temp Fiat. I couldn't get to see going through the rest of the list, but obviously quite a few drivers ended up facing the wrong direction through that event, and that's where all drivers really need to have just a little bit more driver awareness. I mean, it's Hammer Time. He showed it at the very end on that last lap. He was clearly ahead, could have been able to take the apex of the corner. I mean, I didn't get to see whether the other car cut the corner or not, but driver awareness, you could tell he's got it because there wasn't a crash. Whereas a few of the other situations throughout the race, collisions did happen because of a little bit of perhaps a lack of driver awareness on a few people's parts. At the end of the day, if a car has legitimately got any part of their car next to yours, they deserve the room. They earned the room. You have to give them the room. If it's a dive bomb, that's a different situation. But if they have legitimately got any part of their car alongside yours, you've got to give them room. Wow. Okay, I can see we've got a few messages coming through, and that's probably going to be a few of the drivers messaging, you do this, you hit me off, blah, blah, blah. I'll just advise them, remember what I said before the start of the session. Sometimes it's easy to sit there and go, he's a KNOB, he did this, that and that, but sometimes you watch the footage, perhaps watch your own footage, perhaps see their footage, and then find out actually what you think happened might not be what happened. So it's always best to keep you cool, don't make any comments until you've perhaps watched the footage or seen what's really happened. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, it happened with English Boy last week. He didn't even know that he'd caused a collision. When he watched the footage, he saw what had happened, and an apology was sent. But it's less likely for someone to apologise to you if you've been calling them every name under the sun. Isn't that right? Isn't that right, Rachel? Yep. Okay, so I think we're pretty much ready to bring this to an end. It has been a very, very interesting FRR-idays Cup season, and I am looking forward to what these guys can do next season. We expect to see improvements. If effectively, what the goal is for every driver that takes part in the FRR-idays Cup event, the goal is for every one of those guys is a reserve driver. That's their aim. That's what their goal should be, to drive clean enough that every one of them has their name on the reserve driver list. So, if you're watching this back, guys, that's what you've got to practice on over the off season. That's what you've got to work on. Keep it clean and get on that reserve driver list. Okay, we are going to bring it to an end here, so thank you very much, Ray, for joining us on comms once again.
No bother.
And next up on the Front Row Racing YouTube channel, I don't know exactly what the time is now, but at about 9 o'clock this evening will be round 10 of the Project Cars Fridays League in the Formula No Wheels, otherwise known as the Formula Nay Wheels, the Formula Bs. I can't remember what track it's at. I think it's at Brno, which will be a very interesting race. So if you want some more on-track action, about 9 o'clock this evening we'll be live again with myself and Ray on commentary for that. And then on Sunday at 8:30 we'll have the Project Cars Sundays, which is the Ginetta Juniors, for their final race of their season. at Catalonia National Circuit. Okay, that's it. Any final comments?
Good evening all, and thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend. We've been FRR Racing, and we'll see you all again soon.